Floyd opened up a can of worms. So who are the top 5 boxers of all time? We are making the rounds. Jim Basketball alongside Brian Campbell. The Hall of Famer Nigel will join us in a moment. So Floyd Mayweather Jr. revealed his top 5 fighters of all time on ESPN Deportes last week. And not surprisingly, he had himself as the all-time best, with a list that included Pernell Whitaker at number 3 and Muhammad Ali at number 5. Brian, let's start with you. What was your take of Floyd's all-time list?
Look, I don't understand why so many people reacted so much to this. Look, we're talking about a fighter who calls himself TBE, the best ever. If he's not going to come out and call himself the number 1 in a top 5 countdown of a fight, I mean, he's crazy. Look, this TBE, this marketing plan has been as much a part of the definition of who he is legacy-wise as the success he's had in the ring. So you expect that from him. Jim, he really went the distance to hammer this point home, not only putting himself number 1, leaving Sugar Ray Robinson off the list completely.
Yes.
Floyd has tried so hard to control how we portray his legacy, and this is just another part in that in my eyes.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he has a full feel of the history of boxing, a full feel.
He's trying to sell you just like he's selling his fights. Come on.
Hey, Nigel Collins, what were the biggest omissions, surprises from your point of view about Floyd's list?
Well, first of all, before I answer that question, asking Floyd to do this is like Snow White's stepmother, looking in the magic mirror and saying, who's the fairest of them all? I mean, it's an exercise in narcissism. But I really have to agree with what Brian said. I noticed that all of the fighters on Floyd's top 5 were relatively contemporary fighters, but only reinforces our opinion that he has a very slim knowledge of boxing history.
Absolutely. He absolutely does. And he kind of took a swipe at Muhammad Ali as well. So we take a shot at Floyd. But how about you guys? We're going to start with you, Brian. Give me your top 5 and quickly reasons for why he comprised this list.
Look, you try to go through the criteria and get a really balanced breakdown of a guy, who really challenges himself to dare to be great all time and have an all-time great ability set. Also fighters who crossed over and had that impact, not just in the sport, but culturally and beyond. You got a guy, Sugar Ray Robinson, right at the top. You want to recognize guys like Henry Armstrong was the champion in 3 divisions at the same time. You want to get the purest of pure boxers in a Willie Pep. But I think, Jim, when you look at the generations before, I think they have an inherent advantage compared to the guys today, because these guys were more than just businessmen. They're fighting to survive. They are true prize fighters who tested themselves as tough as they can. Fighters today don't really have that push, that need to as much. I think I'm going to lean to a guy who fought 150 times. We know everything we know about him than some of the more recent guys.
Yeah, and I'm a big proponent, despite the win-loss record. Put that aside. If you fought tough opponents, even if you lost against those, at least you fought the best
to be great,
in your era. Yeah, absolutely. Nigel, very surprised, I must admit, that you didn't include Muhammad Ali. How did you arrive at your top 5?
Well, you could have had about 15 or 20 people that could have been on that list, pick and choose and move them around. But this is my personal opinion. I go with Sugar Ray Robinson as well. And it's not just how way he could fight, but there was a certain aesthetic quality to the way he moved and the things he does that nobody else has quite done other than him. Armstrong, of course, that's got to be number 2 for me, the 3 titles that Brian mentioned. But let's also remember that 2 of the guys he beat to win those titles, Barney Ross and Lou Ambers, are also in the Hall of Fame now. And hey, listen, in 1937, Armstrong went 27-0 with 26 knockouts. Top that. Joe Louis, he had the longest reign, 12 years, the most defense, 25. His second fight with Schmeling is arguably the most famous fight of all time. In 2003, the ring said he was the greatest puncher of all time. In 2005, Eyebrow, which are historians, they said he was the greatest heavyweight of all time. Willie Pep, talk about 48-0. He was 62-0 before he lost. And then he went 134 with 1 loss and 1 draw until Sandy Sadler beat him. So, talk about numbers. Pep's got him. Finally, Harry Greb. He had 299 bouts that we know about.
These guys fought a lot.
And in 1970, he had 44 bouts. This guy fought everybody, and he's the only boxer to ever beat Gene Tunney. And that's quite a mark. But he was a dirty fighter. In fact, a famous sports writer said that he had the manly art of modified murder. And that was Harry Greb.
Hey, don't forget Armstrong, bare knuckles, huh? Bare knuckles. You got to give him extra credit for that. Nigel, quickly here. How close was Floyd being on your list since he had himself as number one?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't done the whole list yet, but I would say he'd definitely be in the top 20, top 25.
Brian?
I'm comfortable with Floyd being at the end of my top 20, because here's the thing. The guys that were the all-time best of all time, they wanted to leave no doubt that they were the best. Floyd has left a little bit of doubt.
Absolutely, yes.
I don't doubt his talent. I think he would have beaten anybody in his era. But when you leave that doubt, you pay the price for that. He's been all about the money.
Yeah, no Sugar Ray Leonard, no Marvin Hagler, no Muhammad Ali in one case. That is the top 5 all-time. A conversation, by the way, that can last a lifetime. We are making the rounds for Brian Campbell and Nigel Collins. I'm Jim Basquel. Thanks for watching.